Meantime, something else that's wild is getting the attention. I think this New York Post cover says it all. If you haven't seen it, we have a zoom up of it. But man, oh man, this is one for the ages. If this doesn't win the Post a Pulitzer, I don't know what will, frankly. We're talking about Anthony Scaramucci's sort of uncensored tirade against some key players in the administration. Charlie Gasparino, who, of course, is like Father O'Malley compared to this guy, joins us right now. Hello, Father. How are you? All right, now.
May the power of Reagan compels you.
Oh, my gosh. What did you make?
I think I have to exorcise demons from Scaramucci. The power of Reagan compels you.
Why did he do this? He went on a tirade with New Yorker magazine.
Anthony is a really smart guy.
Very
smart. He started a great business. He's a Harvard law grad. I mean, there's so many positive things about him. The one negative I would say is he's volatile and careless when it comes to stuff like this. He is the exact wrong person to put in this job. I mean, he's good in. I mean, listen, I could see him being Treasury Secretary before Director of Communications.
I sooner see him being Chief of Staff, and I think the President likes what he's doing.
This President probably likes what he's doing, but what he's doing is bad for the country. And I don't think if he became Chief of Staff, people would work for him. I mean, I just don't think that this is a type of guy that can.
I think that kind of conduct scares people.
Yeah, yeah. And
sort of like working with you.
Well, no. I'm a very level-headed guy, you know.
Really? Okay.
I would never say I can do my own you-know-what.
I know. But what I have to wonder about is when he first had that press session, remember?
Right.
He was great. He was.
See, I didn't think so.
I know your concern was that maybe talk too long and not much, but then this veers off into.
Listen, he's a volatile guy, and the other thing is he does things he says things that are insane sometimes. And if you go back and look at a New York Magazine article,
right.
and this happens like when he gets like full of power, when you can see him that he's rising to the occasion. He's getting more power. When he was almost inside the Trump White House around the time of the inauguration, he was going to be the director of Public Liaison's office, the head of the Public Liaison's office.
He ends up getting something far better here.
I don't know if it's better. I mean, that was a good job, and it was right in his wheelhouse, too. It was dealing with business people.
But this is going to lead, presumably, if you're Reince Priebus, aren't your days
Well,
numbered?
I mean, listen, everybody's saying he's gone.
Yeah.
I would just say this. If you think that Sean Spicer left quiet, Sean Spicer took a couple of shots as he left.
Right.
Priebus has got more stuff on all these guys. And, the $10 million book deal is clearly waiting for him on what it's like working in the Trump White House, what it's like to be publicly, trying to, being on publicly humiliated.
But how does this affect the agenda? I mean, regardless of what you think of it, whether it's, nice to do, whether it's comical or whatever.
Right.
We're not talking about tax cuts, are we?
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. I mean, this is such a sideshow. And again, why is the Director of Communications generally someone you really don't hear that much about? I forgot who the other guy was.
Right.
It's because he's behind the scene theoretically, and he's crafting message. He's not doing what Anthony's doing, causing havoc. And by the way, let me just be real clear. What started this whole thing? This sort of insane tirade that no one has ever seen before. It started because Anthony Scaramucci thought there was a leak about who he was going to fire in the White House staff among the old Priebus, Spicer guys in the press office. I could tell you that nobody in that office, I know for a fact how that story got out there, because I actually had it too. It wasn't given by a leak. It was given by a political consultant who was surmising who might get fired in that environment.
He clearly has the power to fire, though, but it seems now this influence extends way beyond the communications office.
Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
But that alone is telling, isn't it?
Listen, I can just tell you this, Neil. What he did yesterday hurt him inside the White House. Maybe Trump.
So you don't buy the argument that the president likes him?
No, maybe the president likes him, but everybody else hates it. Yeah. Everybody. There's not one person in that. Maybe Kellyanne Conway kind of likes it, but I just can't imagine that Rex Tillerson, that McMaster's, that all the heavy hitters, even Mnuchin, who's friends with Anthony, thinks that is appropriate behavior. Calling up, and remember what he did? He called up the reporter and he said, "Give me the names of the people who leaked to you, and if you don't, I'm just going to fire everybody." It was like he was trying to extort the name out of him.
Well, he wanted to know about how he knew about this dinner.
But think about what he's saying. He's putting the and who cares about this dinner? Bill Shine, Kimberly Guilfoyle. Why is that like Hannity? I mean, who gives a flying?
Well, all right.
In the spirit of the times, I was going to use that word.
But do you think that this is a week where we had this story, you know, the
Right.
disappointment at the health care vote.
Taxes now is on.
Taxes, you know, a lot of Republican
Right.
senators still rallying around Sessions that it would be a
Right.
mistake to even think of getting rid of him. You know, Lisa Murkowski, despite the threat that she got about the Interior Department revenge if she, you know, it was clear it played the threat.
Right.
And she voted against this thing last
John
night.
McCain
Anyway.
couldn't care. By the way, try threatening John McCain.
Right.
Good luck on
right.
that.
But that people are not really afraid of him. And by the way, the president is going to be on route to Long Island right now, where he is addressing the influence of groups and gangs like MS-13.
Yeah.
He's on his way there, and will return to Washington, we're told, for the weekend. But that this is a president who might not be intimidating, you know, Republicans anymore.
Listen, the stock market isn't reacting. Why is that? Because generally corporate earnings are good, GDP growth is marginal, but you know that's a decent.
And they still like his economic.
They like him, and he is net better for investors than Hillary Clinton. That
By the
said,
way, this Bannon trial balloon or whatever it was about a hike on taxes with a really well-to-do.
I heard it's not happening.
Not happening, and you know, Kevin Brady talking.
But here's where it gets
that it's not happening.
Here's where it gets crazy, because now we're in a kind of stasis mode where this is kind of like interesting, but suppose we really do have a crisis. Suppose there is a issue with banks. Suppose there is a North Korean, attack somewhere. Suppose there's something bad, and you have this type of disarray in the White House. That's where it gets. Say what you want for Obama, but or G.W. Bush, right?
Excuse me, Ralph, that is Nikki Haley getting on board, right? That's as the UN.
But say what you want about them. They had an infrastructure that was it worked. So when the financial crisis happened, George W. Bush could rely on Hank Paulson, on Ben Bernanke, on Josh Bolton, his trusted advisors, to basically handle the situation and contain it. He handed it off to Obama, who I don't like his economic policies, but he had adults in the room, Larry Summers, Paul Volcker.
A great cabinet. I think by and large.
Yeah, but when you got this sort of stuff, and
this doesn't help.
and you got your communications director acting like Al Capone, you got a problem.